Thank you so much for making it this far. You and I are going to have a sword fight until one of us transitions into the afterlife. Yo, what's up? So you're gonna ride with me for like 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. I'm testing right now just to make sure that the information I'm going to give you is true as far as what I believe, at least from my point of view. All right, let's start this ride. I'm gonna be hyper focused on something. You don't know what that is, but I'm gonna tell you in a little bit. It's gonna be the point of this video. A little bit of a delicate thing here. Yo. Loose as a goose. What's this? I forget what that is. Let me go. Don't hit that tree. Don't hit that tree. Oh, mate, what's this? Chuck getting me down for mate. Alright, what's the line through here? Watch your head. Oh, front brake. Alright, can we roll this? Yeah, we can. Can you jump that? Yeah. I'm not sure where I'm going here. Yo! Slick, slippery needle. Oh, jeez. Should have tested that bridge before I rode over. I haven't ridden it in a while. Just can't stop, dogs. Yo, alright, so what I've come to conclude is what I assumed I would conclude, so I'm going to present that to you now. Yo guys, important talk right here. I'm not asking for anything monetarily, but it's actually the opposite of that. So I used to have a Patreon, I ended it because life is expensive. Things are expensive, groceries are expensive, just your everyday necessities are expensive. And while my Patreon offered a service, and then it offered also an option to just throw a couple bucks my way just as a thank you for the videos, I felt a tremendous amount of guilt with that Patreon. Folks are just inundated with subscriptions nowadays, and it's easy to lose track of your subscriptions. And one thing's for sure, that subscription service won't stop pulling money out of your bank account. And yes, you are an adult with free will, and it's your own fault if you don't keep track of those sorts of things. But I offered a service where I offered riding support, video-based riding support. I know, bad business probably on my part, but here's the thing. If you want riding support, you should support your local coaches. The money I was making from riding support, I definitely put more work into it than the money I was making, but I still felt a level of guilt because, you know, you have these riding coaches all over the world that rely on that for income, you know, to buy groceries, to feed families and stuff. So So I was no longer comfortable in pursuing long distance online coaching. And as far as like the buy me a coffee thing where folks could send $3 my way once a month, just to say, as a thank you for what I do. So I know like on paper, $3 a month isn't a lot, but when I was a kid in elementary school, whether my mom had a couple bucks, whether my mom had that $1.15 determined whether or not I had lunch money for the day. So there's no such thing as just a couple bucks. So here's my point. I no longer have the Patreon service, but if you want to support what I do, the most important thing you can do is hit subscribe, and then when my videos pop up, you can watch them. Hit like, leave a comment, all that sort of stuff really helps me out tremendously. So that's all I'm asking for. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you. Normally that sort of speech is something that I would do without a full face helmet on, just to make it more personal, but it's 19 degrees up here on the mountain. It's cold, it's breezy, and my face is absolutely frozen. I'm trying to keep my fingers moving. Let's move on over to the AI version of me. Yo, all right, here we are. Let's make sense of this. So, mountain bikes used to be much smaller. They were shorter in length, wheels were smaller, tires were more narrow. Bikes were just smaller. Handlebar width was way more narrow. I know, I used to ride one. But as technology changed and focus on geometry changed, bikes got bigger, they got more broad, wheels got bigger, tires got wider, and these big, capable, powerful machines now had wider handlebars. We as pilots of these machines, riders of these beasts, we need wide handlebars to hold on for dear life as we blast through all the terrain that these bikes are now capable of. But is that true? I don't believe that to be the case, and that's the point of this video. Now, the ride that you just watched was me going back to my original setup just to reconfirm some beliefs I've had. So over the past week to 2 weeks, I had been running super wide 800mm bars. And I wanted to do this test to reconfirm some of the ideas that I've had for a long time. So I have been running 760mm bars for many years, and I wanted to explore the idea of riding wider bars again, because a lot of new riders get these new capable bikes and they come with 800mm bars. Now, the idea is that you can cut them down, but new riders and you know, more inexperienced riders will get on these bikes and they're just gonna feel powerful. They're gonna feel strong and capable of anything sitting on these bikes with wide handlebars. But what you'll learn as you build skills and experience on the mountain bike is that mountain biking is not all about holding on for dear life and plowing through things. It's about finesse, it's about muscle movement, it's about mobility, it's about bike body separation. It's really about being dynamic and mobile on the bike. But here's the thing with these wider handlebars, and I confirmed this over the past few weeks, is that when your hands are further apart, you become way less mobile. You lose a lot of travel in your arms and in your upper body with these wide handlebars. And we now know how important mobility is on a bike. And immediately when we bring our hands in a little bit, we gain a lot more travel in our arms and we become so much more mobile just with a few millimeters difference. Now, if you do not believe that a few millimeters will make a big difference, stop. You've not been in the bike world very long, because any minor change in the bike, in the cockpit specifically, makes a massive difference in the overall feel and impression for the rider on the bike. So I typically ride 760 bars, which brings my hands in a little bit closer than the 800mm bars that most bikes come with. What that allows me is way more mobility, forward and backward and up and down. This added mobility could make the difference of whether you retain balance going through a chunky, rocky section, if you're able to bunny hop over a log or a rock, if you're able to manual or lift that front wheel up. Not only that, wider bars when you are turning, so we're taught to lean our bikes in turns. Now, wider bars are going to put your downward hand in a far lower, stretched out position, and you'll lose a lot of mobility in that downward arm. Additionally, that upward arm is going to be higher and in a more awkward, let's say less strong position. Now, when you bring your hands a little bit closer together, suddenly that downward arm gains a lot of mobility, a lot more travel. It's kind of similar to like sag on your suspension. So sag is there when you sit on your bike so that when you ride over a hole, that sag offers, we'll call it shock mobility, to push that wheel down into those holes, okay, to keep traction on the trail. Now, when we bring our hands a little bit closer together and we're leaning our bike, it's kind of like sag. We have that mobility to lean it a little further or absorb bumps or push through bumps with that lower hand. Additionally, this upward higher hand is just going to be in a stronger, more controlled, natural position. Now, do we lose stability when we bring our hands closer together because things that are tighter or closer together are less stable? I don't believe that to be the case, because on mountain bikes, we find our stability in our feet and in our core. So we're not putting a lot of weight in our hands and on our bars. If we're doing that, we're doing it wrong. I find that by bringing my hands closer together, I gain way more stability, because for me, stability is in the ability to be mobile. Mobility equals stability. So what's the point of this video? Well, the point is this: it's not to go out and cut your bars down and make them as narrow as possible. It's to be open to the idea that a very minor change in your bar width can have a huge impact on your riding. Now, yeah, I know everybody's built differently. There's no magic formula for the right bar width. It's all about what feels comfortable to you. So as you go about that journey, finding the right width for you, just keep in mind that comfort is important and mobility is important. Or you and I are going to have a sword fight until one of us transitions into the afterlife. Now, I don't know who I'm talking to, so I'm going to call you Pat. Pat, I can assume that you have no experience in a sword fight to the death, and I'm going to tell you that I have no experience in a sword fight to the death, so we both have no experience in this sort of thing. And also, we're told that we only have 2 swords that we can use in the sword fight. You get to pick one and I get the other, or I get to pick one and you get the other. Now, because I generally yield to everybody on the trail, I yield to you, Pat, and say, you know, it's easier this way. Just go ahead and pick your sword. So you go into the room, you get first pick. And the first option is this giant, broad, powerful, shiny, decorative, sword that just looks like it's made for transitioning people into the afterlife. Then you look at the other sword, and it's just like this little dinky, fragile looking sword that's not much more than a dagger. It's like an extra large dagger. So because there's so much on the line, you pick the giant, powerful sword. And then you come out with that sword. I'm like, oh, dang, dude. And then I go in and I see what's left for me, and I'm a little bit pissed off. Okay, what am I going to do though? So anyway, so we go into the room to start our sword fight, and you look powerful with this sword. You look like you're just ready to take on the world. And I'm left there standing with this little dagger of a sword. But I'm noticing one thing, and as you start to swing to take me to the afterlife, I'm noticing that this sword is kind of slow in its maneuverability. I'm noticing too that it's pulling your body mass one way or another, and it's knocking you off balance slightly. It's causing you to sway, and it's causing your feet to stumble. Now, this little dagger that I have is not much different than a fork that I use, to shovel pasta in my mouth. So I'm super comfortable with this little dagger. Now, as you're swinging and swaying and stumbling, I'm noticing patterns. In one of your swings, you stumble off balance because you just don't have that maneuverability, that quick speed, that quick responsive ability. So I quickly shoot in with my little dagger, and I'm not going to go into detail because I don't know what YouTube will allow me to describe. Things happen and my sword's no longer visible to the human eye. We'll just say that. And as you're transitioning into the afterlife, I whisper in your ear, thank you for the likes. Thank you for being a subscriber. Is there one last comment you would like me to post? And then you drop your sword. Fade to black. Now, I know you're asking yourself, what the hell does this have to do with mountain biking? I have no damn clue,